This is the Coach Dan Day Show, presented by Dino's Sports Lounge in Greensburg and Latrobe. Here's Dan Flickinger and the head coach of the Seton Hill Griffins, Dan Day.
We continue on Griffins Game Day with the Dan and Dan Show, the Coach Day Show brought to you by Dino's Sports Lounge in Greensburg and Latrobe as we talk with the head coach of the Seton Hill Griffins, Dan Day, here on homecoming. And Coach, I want to ask you about homecoming a little bit later. I know it's a special time for you being a former Seton Hill Griff player and now a coach. But Coach, let's go back to last week's game, a 42-16 loss to Clarion, a game that really was closer than what I thought the final score indicated if it wasn't for the mistakes and things kind of snowballing in the second half.
Sure.
Do you kind of see it that way as
no
well?
way. Yeah, no doubt. And I think, you know, when you look at that game specifically, I to be honest, and it's nothing that, you know, our guys haven't heard either, I don't think we played very hard in the second half. We let one play, in my opinion, dictated the entire outcome of the second half. And you know, that's all part of what we have to do a better job responding to adversity. I think we did that in the first half. I don't think we did that in the second half, you know, and, you know, it's something that you wouldn't even necessarily see as a fan, you know, unless you're there an hour and a half early at the game. But, you know, we've had conversations with our guys, even all the way down to pregame warmups. You know, I as a coach should never have to come into the locker room and try to get you fired up. You know, if I have to do that consistently, we're not in the right spot mentally, you know, and that was another one that, you know, had to go in and try to, you know, get them going and motivated, and we got to do a better job of just being excited. And where I think that comes from, Dan, is we're still in that mindset of kind of expecting things to go wrong, you know, and that's what we got to work out. That's all culture. That's all, you know, what we're continuing to get these players to believe in themselves and buy into who they are now. You know, the past doesn't define who we are. It's taking that next step, and that's going to be a really, really important piece moving forward.
And when you say work things out, it has to be challenging because you can do all you can during practice and talk to the players, which I'm sure you continuously do, and that's an important part of it. But until they believe on Saturdays, that has to be challenging. And
it's a moment. I mean, it's a moment that's going to happen when that adversity is going to strike. We're going to overcome it, and it's going to be a completely different feeling, you know, from that moment on. Heck, I had it here when I was a player. You know, we were not a successful program, and there was a moment, you know, that I think made our entire season when we ended up going to the playoffs, and you feed off of that, and you feed off that momentum, and that's what we got to continue to work just to play as hard as we can, you know, and the goal right now is, and has been, win a quarter. And that's something we talked about before, but it's not, you know, if we go out and you ever think, you know, walking onto a field that you're going to, you know, just, we got to step on the field from the first minute and win this game. No, you got to win it play by play, you know, quarter by quarter, and that's just what we have to do a better job of is breaking it down into smaller segments.
Well, you mentioned the big play to start out the second half. That was the kick return, and it was really unfortunate because you guys had generated a lot of momentum going into halftime by kicking a field goal and going on a really long drive. That was a big play, and Coach, some of the other game-deciding plays I thought was the block punt for a touchdown. That happened early in the second quarter. There was also a roughing the punter penalty that Clarion scored a touchdown on that kept that drive going. And I know those are things that you guys need to overcome, but kind of take us through those plays and how much they had an impact.
Sure, yeah, and on the punt itself, did a good job of backside pressure, and we've been working through operation time. You know, once Bonish went down, we've had to put a couple guys in at that long snapping position. That's not necessarily their primary, you know, but trying to work guys into that position. So we've done some different things on punt, you know, and we've been saying ever since, honestly, week one, you know, going through Westchester week and then going, you know, Slippery Rock week, and we hadn't faced a ton of pressure when – if I was the coach against that, you know, when I saw it was a backup long snapper, I'd be coming after that every single time, you know, and then we really saw that type of pressure first time on Saturday. And so, you know, that was something we have to do a better job of, you know, as coaches, first and foremost, of putting our players in better position with formations and different things we're going to have to do. You know, you get in that situation, you have to be able to punt the ball. So we have to be able to have, you know, operation time, and we have to be able to execute that play however we need to get that done. So that's something we need to do a better job of as coaches, putting them in a better position. And so there's no doubt that was an enormous play in the football game. And then the roughing the punter, in that case, you could feel what happened when when we had our punt blocked, and we felt like that was a great situation, in that moment to come after, their punt team. And sometimes you're going to roll the dice on those plays because that's pretty aggressive. And you want them, if you're scared to block the punt, you're never going to block it, right? So you got to have that happy medium. And it was a freshman that made a mistake that'll probably never make again. So it's all learning, from those moments. And unfortunately, it was a big play Saturday.
And then the kickoff return, again, just kind of unfortunate with the momentum you generated. What
Sure.
kind of broke down on that play?
Yeah, I mean, and realistically, if you watch and you'll see, as the ball was approaching the sidelines, taking an odd hop, and it looked like the ball was going to bounce out. Returner stepped out of bounds, so by all rights, it should have been a dead play. And our guys, as they were working down their lanes, saw that. So we kind of stopped running, thought it was a dead play at that point, and they didn't blow it dead, and it is what it is. So we kind of got, shocked a little bit when he brought the ball out, and at that point it was too late. It was at that point too late. The crease had been made because we kind of had, stopped running through in that situation, and that was what led to the play, and realistically, that's one play, and it's a huge play, but. Yeah. I was more disappointed in our response as a football team, not that play. Our response, through that adversity, we've got to be better, in that situation, and we're going to continue to coach, with that positive energy, and the guys will continue to buy into that, and it's going to take, like I said, that moment where we don't have that feeling of waiting for something to go wrong. We got to have a lot of confidence it's going to go right.
I want to ask you about Darnell Carey here in a little bit, but he returns a touchdown that's called back because of a penalty. And you guys did respond well to that.
Absolutely.
John Makel catches a 58-yard touchdown pass from Ryan Barabee. That was a big play in the first half.
Yep.
And also the long drive that you guys went on, was it 94 yards
Yep.
to get into field goal range to kick a field goal right before halftime. So those were a couple of promising things in the
Absolutely, no doubt. I mean, responding to that adversity, certain situations. And so what does that prove? And the same thing we've talked to our guys about, like, you can do it, I mean, that proves it right there. We can, when we don't worry about, that outcome on one play and you just take it play by play, you can respond to adversity. We have the ability, but this game, football is so, it's mindset driven, and how you're going to play, the efforts you're going to, put forth. And I think we did that very well in the first half and not so well in the second half. And that's what we got to, again, continue to improve on.
The Golden Eagles led just 21-9 in the third quarter. Clarion then went on a monster drive, Coach. 15 plays, 81 yards, and that seemed to be, I know there was still time left in the game, but that was just such a tough thing to come back from after, they drove down the field. The defense played so well in the first half. What kind of went wrong on that scoring drive?
Yeah, I mean, again, when you look at the situation, it was after the kickoff return, and then we weren't 3 and out, but I think it was only a 5 or 6 play drive that we ended up on, and then punting it right back to them. They were still down deep, but it was just the effort in which we played with that first half was different, than the second half. Same calls, same plays, right? And we lost, some focus on our fundamentals that I think our defense played lights out in the first half, lights out. And once you kind of lost that momentum, and it's, in my opinion, it's harder on that side of the ball than it is offensively. Offensively, you need to be a little more stoic and even keel. I think defensively, you really live and die off of emotion. And I think, again, we as a team allowed one play to deflate us when, it doesn't need to be the case. I mean, if, again, watching film, Dan, it's the same calls that we were lighting them up with, in the first half. And we just have to do a better job of getting our guys to believe in themselves, first and foremost, and let our players believe in what they can accomplish on the football field. We're going to be absolutely fine.
The defense is on the field for that real long drive, and then 2 plays later, after Clarion scores, Ryan Barabee throws an interception, and the defense is right back on the field. They give up another touchdown. Was it a case of, I know you're not making excuses here, but was it a case of being worn down at that point?
Defense in that position, I think, Clarion has some explosive playmakers, and I think the defense had bottled them up for a long time. Obviously, that long 15-play drive, and then to go right back out, in that situation with, not great field position and where they were, I think yet it comes down to being on the field a lot in those moments or leading up to that moment, and credit to Clarion to taking advantage of that momentum, that momentum swing and where we were.
Our Griffin player spotlight this week is with Jalen McDuffie. Wow, what a game by him.
Yeah.
13 tackles, 2.5 for a loss. What excited you about Jalen's performance Saturday?
What we've known from day one, that's how he can play when he's always turned on. And that's always been my challenge to him. Play that way 24/7, and you'll be one of the best players that's ever walked through this building and through this school. And that's just, that's who he is. That's what he can do day in and day out. And just excited to see him have that day, gain some confidence, and continue to be that person every single Saturday.
Was there anybody else defensively? Because there were a couple of other guys, I thought, especially in that first half, that kind of stood out and made some plays.
Sure. Yeah, I think Emberton Gaines is playing absolutely phenomenal football in every instance. I mean, really doing a great job of playing his role, positionally. And another guy that I want to mention that doesn't get enough love, K-Van Bowen.
I knew that's who you were going to say, yeah.
What he does, I mean, the work he does, play in and play out, to allow a guy like Jalen, to get all the big plays, with McDuffie and Mac. I mean, they're making some really, really good plays, but a lot of that comes from K-Van doing his job to occupy blockers and free those guys up. And I couldn't be more, proud of his selfless play and going out and doing his job, and I think he's been a huge piece of our defense.
And K-Van's only a freshman, right? Is he?
Sophomore.
So you still have him for a couple more years. That has to excite you a lot.
You look at our whole roster.
Right.
We're very excited about what we have coming up.
Staying on the defense, Coach, Fardan Allen played with a cast on his hand. I guess he made an interception that was flagged down or whatever happened on that play. But anyway, how did he kind of deal with that through the game?
I think well. I mean, I watching him out there and what he's doing, I don't notice it, diminishing his ability at all. I think he's played through it. I think he's had a great mental attitude about it, and I think if it were up to him, he'd be cutting the doggone cast off already. But he just goes out and does his job no matter what the adversity is. And he is one of those. He's an absolute leader. He's not one that, I don't think in any situation gave up on Saturday. He's not one of the effort guys that, went out there and didn't believe in what we're doing. And he just needs to continue to lead that way through play, through action, through words. And I don't think it affected him at all.
Well, let's get to Darnell Carey. Talk about coming up with a playmaker here that maybe you didn't expect to at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
How good has he been this year, especially the last couple games?
Special teams. I mean, we had to spend some time in practice letting other people catch kickoffs, because I'm not sure how many more opportunities people are going to give him. So I would expect some kicks going other ways and not in his hands. But I couldn't be more. For him as a football player here in his development. And he started the season on a scout team and worked up from scout team, and the defense coaches came over and said, look, this kid's playing amazing. So, let's find a role. Let's find a place. Let's find a spot and put him on special teams. And the minute he got his opportunity, he took advantage of it. And exactly what we preach to our players, take advantage of your opportunities and don't let it be anybody else, that holds you off the field. And what has he done? He's forced us as coaches to say, man, we got to play him. I mean, now he's gone from special teams to you're going to see him a lot on offense now, and it's really taking advantage of that opportunity. And a guy that I'm glad, for him that he worked hard enough to put himself in this position is now taking advantage.
Where are you guys at health-wise right now? I know Logan Weiland may see some snaps today.
Yeah, Logan will be back. So having him, Valentino, Jai, I mean, we feel really, really good in the back end. Offensively, Chris is still coming back from that shoulder. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be way ahead, Saturday than what he was last Saturday. The one, if we lost somebody that was a key loss, was Tegan Hahn. I mean, we lost Tegan on Saturday, and again, not a guy that makes the most flashy plays, and people might not know his name. He is an incredibly important piece of our football team, and a guy that does so many things, special teams wise. A guy that defensively we'd put in a lot of different situations. You could trust him. He does his job. He's one guy that, we lost physically, but again, I'll praise him for what he's done to continue to be locked in, be a great leader in helping his teammates, get ready to prepare to play Saturday without him. He's probably the big one that we lost from Saturday.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I had a chance to watch him play Greensburg-Salem High School, so he's a local guy, and well, we wish him the best in his recovery.
Yes, yep.
Well, we will take a break, and coming up next, we are going to talk about the Gannon Golden Knights, what Coach Day has seen from them on film, and what the Griffins need to do to get away with a win today against Gannon at homecoming. We'll be back with the Coach Day Show. It'll continue next on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Are you searching for the perfect place to hold your organization's next banquet, party, or corporate luncheon? Search no more, because Dino's Sports Lounge spacious banquet room comfortably seats up to 100 people. It also features a private entrance, 10-foot large television screens, accommodations for a DJ, and a bar separate from the main dining area. To make reservations, call Dino's in Latrobe at 724-539-2566. That's 724-539-2566, or visit us online at dinoslatrobe.com.
This is defensive lineman Davion Laney, and you're watching Seton Hill Football on Westmoreland Sports.
On Homecoming Saturday, we continue with Griffin's Game Day and the Dan and Dan Show as we talk with Coach Day here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. We talked about last week's game, and now we move in to today's game. The Gannon Golden Knights coming in with a 2-3 record, coming off of an 18-17 loss to Edinboro last week. Coach, first, just your impressions of the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I think when you watch what we've seen of them on film, sometimes, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type team. I mean, you see them sometimes, they look lights out. When they played Clarion, I mean, it was phenomenal effort, and in every situation, they look like they can be an explosive football team. And, you turn the page to Edinboro and just kind of, look like a different team. So I don't know if that's senior leadership or where that falls, but it's one of those things you got to really prepare well that week, because you don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know who is going to step out, and if they come out and play, as explosive they've shown, they can be a really, really good football team in every aspect. So we've got to make sure we're prepared, to handle the best Gannon team that can step on the field.
You look at their quarterback. Tell us a little bit about him. Jimmy Keefe, 9 touchdowns, but he also has 6 interceptions through 5 games, but he's also thrown for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, and I think, when you watch film and you'll see some of the interceptions are, tip balls, and not all necessarily, quarterback-driven turnovers. Some of those, I think we're playing a quarterback that's, this week better than what we saw last week. I don't think his receiving core is probably quite as strong as what we played against last week. So that kind of, to me, evens it out. I think this is a type of quarterback that makes his receivers better, and makes good decisions with the football, and has a strong arm, can make a lot of the throws that you're going to ask him to. So I think he's definitely, as a passer, a pretty big threat that we're facing today.
What stands out to you about Gannon on defense?
Pressure. They live and die on bringing, a lot of pressure and making you uncomfortable. A big thing we talked about all week with our quarterbacks, receivers, our skill guys, outside is they're going to throw. I mean, you look at the breakdown and it feels like a million different coverages, so we've got to be able to simplify that. Just reading, is it one eye or two eye, and let's make the right read, make the right decision. Thought process on their end is throw a lot at you with pressure in your face and try to force you to make a mistake. So we've tweaked our protection a little bit this week that I feel really, really good about. moving forward, schematically, we still got to execute, right? We still got to be physical to be able to open up those lanes and be able to let our receivers, have some room. And I think within this style of a defense, there'll definitely be some room given our ability to protect our quarterback.
Well, and staying with Gannon's defense, they're just 14th in the PSAC in rushing defense. They allow 164 yards per game. So could this be a week where your running game gets back on track?
Sure, and as you look at it, when you break them down statistically game by game, there are some games they basically shut the run down. Other games, they give it up.
Right, so you're talking that Jekyll and Hyde thing again.
Exactly, and a big part with the defense is when you live and die on pressure, in the run game, if it's frustrating you early, it's easy to get away from it. If they can come out and start to shut that down early, it's hard to say, well, keep pounding the ball if you're only getting 2 yards, and that's what I think they do well, is try to stifle you early and make you panic into just kind of, trying to play that game in the air. But, on the other end of that, they've given up, some games where, when you live and die on pressure and you misfit, those can be some really, really big runs. And hopefully having Logan back will be, a weapon to be able to take advantage of that. And we all know his running style and what he can bring to the table. So I feel confident that we have a good game plan that is balanced, so that we could take advantage of what we see on Saturday and how, how they're playing, how we're playing, and be able to put our guys in the best position to make plays.
So ultimately, what would your keys to victory be then today?
Running the football, setting that up with what we have. Again, coming back and Logan and I think Mike ran really, really well on Saturday, and we've got to be more physical as an offensive line. I think we're getting to where we need to be. We're just not being as physical as we need to in the box. So being able to establish that run game, which will, ultimately open up some of the opportunities in the pass game and the perimeter. Offensively, it's going to be a huge key. And letting Ryan, he progressed. I think last Saturday, you look at 2 picks. I think both picks, one was on us as an offensive line, and I think the other one was on a receiver for running the wrong route. I think he actually had a really, really good day. So I'd like to see him progress and carry that over to today.
Nice to have a veteran back there, too, against the defense that you said uses a lot of different coverages.
Absolutely.
And to him be able to read those coverages. Finally, Coach, I mentioned earlier about homecoming. I want to get your thoughts on homecoming. This is your first homecoming as a head coach.
Yeah.
As a former player, I'm sure it's special to you, and I'm sure that maybe you have some former teammates coming in.
Absolutely. And actually, oddly enough, it's my first time ever being back for homecoming.
Mm-hmm. You've always been a coach. You haven't been able to come back. So.
I haven't been able to be back on a Saturday, to see this environment. And when we were playing, homecoming was not a major deal, because there weren't any alumni, especially male sports.
Right,
so
true.
It wasn't a huge environment. And I'm really excited to see all that I've heard about what this has turned into and what homecoming is at Seton Hill now is what you would expect, college football homecoming to be. So I'm really excited to be able to see that atmosphere and to be able to represent the alumni and the guys that had worked to build our program into being a winning program in 2008. I know a lot of those guys are coming back, and really excited to see what our guys go out there, play as hard as we can, and put a good product on the field.
Yeah, homecoming's gotten bigger and bigger at Seton Hill. They close off the street above Offutt Field. Mm-hmm. They have a big party up there, a lot of different things going on. So that's going to go well. We hope the game goes well.
We got to win a quarter, Dan. We got to win a quarter.
Get the W. Win the first quarter, and then continue to do that. Coach, thank you so much for your time, as always.
Appreciate it.
That is Coach Dan Day. This is the Dan and Dan Show, brought to you by Dino's Sports Lounge in Greensburg and Latrobe. Coming up next, Brittany Petrangelo will talk with Jalen McDuffie, our Griffin Player Spotlight, as we continue on Griffin's Game Day right after these messages on the Westmoreland